According to the Synoptic Gospel of Mark, the only first-hand account attributed to an actual disciple, he saw them toiling in rowing, for the wind was contrary unto them. And about the fourth watch of the night he cometh unto them, walking upon the sea, and would have passed by them. But when they saw him walking upon the sea, they supposed it had been a spirit, and cried out. For they all saw him, and were troubled. And immediately he talked with them, and saith unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And an account of the Christian Savior walking upon the waters is recorded in all except one of the Gospels, with the noble exception of the Synoptic Gospel of Luke, attributed in authorship to the Greek physician Luke. Yet, the Synoptic Gospel of Luke, like Mark, is consistent in recording an account about the Christian Savior, about which Luke records, And they came to him and awoke him, saying, Master, Master, we perish. Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging of the water, and they ceased, and there was calm. And seeing this extraordinary event before their eyes, with 4 of the 12 having once made their living upon the seas as fishermen, at least according to Mark in a first-hand witness account, recorded that thereafter they feared exceedingly, and said to one another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? But at the very beginning of the Abrahamic biogenesis story, even before the earth had been formed, it was recorded in a pre-Hellenic account, In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And these were apparently waters that were extant and residing somewhere in the infinite void of space, where it tends to get pretty cold, or about minus 455 degrees Fahrenheit, or 2.7 degrees Kelvin, in the language of scientists. And what happens to water at exactly 32 degrees, or 0 degrees Celsius in the metric system? But we began this video series in what may at least be described as a liberal construction of an account of a notable scientist, Dr. Richard Feynman, an astrophysicist from the prestigious Harvard University, in one of his rather popular works in which he attempted to extend his market brand beyond the disciplines of the sciences, for which he was a noted authority, to other aspects of life more commonplace and familiar to you and I, in a book appropriately titled, Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. And we had focused our crudely crafted lens upon one particular vignette, to which one might give the title in an expansive reading, The Devil and Dick Feynman, an encounter that he, a scientist of impeccable credentials, had somewhere in the vicinity of Sin City, Las Vegas, out by Area 51, and with a wily Mephistophelian character presenting a Faustian deception, even upon approach, who had tempted him while he had been found lying by the waters of the pool at a modest hotel, not a hotel, and probably one of the few fine amenities offered at that lodging establishment, besides maybe an air conditioner, color television to watch the local station, an ice bucket, ice machine down the hall, and in the street outside with the vending machines, and maybe at a fancy motel, even a vibrating bed, to seduce him to take a little plunge in some unfamiliar waters way over his head, tempted by the allure of the life of leisure that this serpentine character by the pool had offered, and assured him that he had himself, even if not at least from the account, appearing to be enjoying this assumed opulence at a location like the modern-day Venetian or Bellagio, or back then, the Sands or the Flamingo, which should have provided some immediate signs of danger he might await further out on that invitation to hop aboard this luxury cruise with a shape-shifting men in black, possibly. Any kid growing up in far-off Rockaway Beach should be familiar with the New York Lotto commercial, "Remember to bet with your head and not over it," at one of our fine, convenient locations near you. Because to win it, you gotta be in it. And you look like a winner. Hello, my name is Major Mike Webb, and at least indirectly, as a retired member of the intelligence community, recently both the President and the United States Supreme Court have tasked me to report on a truly fascinating phenomenon, which may be of great interest with as many as 3 in 10 Americans. By December, identifying themselves as nuns, not affiliated with any faith denomination at all, up 6 points since the pre-pandemic estimate that had already found their numbers exceeding those affiliated with the Roman Catholic Church, which still remains the largest formal faith denomination. And so, where now do we begin the seafaring journey? This time, a daunting task even today for fishermen and sailors shoving off to the deep, much as it was for the ancients, fearing monsters, tempests, squalls, Scylla, and Charybdis. A very natural apprehension whenever mortal man is confronted with that which is unknown, giving rise, at least for some, the necessity of a quantum of faith. But you look like a winner. And at least according to the Huffington Post, in November 2012, Christoph Koch, like the Koch brothers, or Robert Koch, the developer of Koch's postulates, but here the chief scientific officer of the Allen Institute of Brain Science, and Lois and Victor Trengel, professor of cognitive and behavioral biology at California Institute for Technology, argued that the soul dies and everything is lost when human beings lose consciousness. You lose everything. The world does not exist anymore for you. Game over. Your friends don't exist anymore to you. You don't exist anymore to anyone. Everything is lost, he said. And if you are one of those 81.6% of Americans over the age of 5 who have voluntarily consented to be administered at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 countermeasures because you follow the science and you look like a winner, in your sincerely held faith belief, that is what you believe. And, however, if you are nearly one of the 1 in 5 U.S. adults, 18%, who said they've seen or been in the presence of a ghost, according to a 2009 Pew Research Center survey, and an even greater share, 29%, who said they have felt in touch with someone who has already died. Then prepare to begin the 5 stages of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, because you, my friend, are simply denying the science in reality. You should have taken the vaccine. Seek help. According to a 2007 Pew Research survey, 2/3 of Americans, 68%, completely or mostly agree that angels and demons are active in the world and not just on Halloween. Do you have any evidence of this crackpot theory of spirits, apparitions, poltergeists, life after death? How does this reconcile with the science of Newtonian physics, Einstein, the laws of conservation of matter and energy, or even Einstein's theories in a nuclear age? Or perhaps your contention girded by your beliefs in the paranormal, like Bigfoot, which by definition is a rejection of science and empirical observation and inquiry. That the 14% who completely disagree with this idea are just crazy, a scientific term, by the way, and you have already rejected the science. It is true that amongst the Mormons, 88%, evangelical Christians, 87%, and members of, yes, historically black churches like the one that the president went to when he was growing up are the most likely to agree that angels and demons are active in the world. But at least from the perspective of an identity politic, do you really want to be in agreement with evangelical Christians, of whom 60% were consistent in being Trump supporters who cast ballots for him in both 2016 and 2020? And an additional 18% were Trump converts. They backed him in 2020 after voting for another candidate or not voting at all in the 2016 election. In total, 78% of white voters who identified as evangelicals at both points in time voted for Trump in 2020. Potentially, probably believers in ghosts and apparitions. And if you believe in ghosts and spirits, you just might be, as Jeff Foxworthy says, a redneck. Think about it. 73% of Jewish Americans don't believe in spooks. 56% of Buddhists and 55% of Hindus, who are in line with the Eastern spiritualism and Zen, don't believe in spooks. 54% of the religiously unaffiliated disagree with your wild notion, unsupported by science, that angels and demons exist in our world. What? You have faith in things exist regardless of the evidence? There are doctors for that and a long list of medications that might be able to help you with that. So, if you believe in ghosts and spirits and life after death, any of those other things, you can just stop watching this video right now, because we are talking about science, delving into biogenesis, the formation of solar systems, galaxies, the universe, life on our planet Earth, other elevated discourse, and you might be able to find some content to reinforce your beliefs, or paranormal science support group Bible study, or even cartoons someplace else. And for those who follow science, you know that we are still learning more and more every day just about our solar system. And according to the wonderful rocket scientists at NASA, who 56% of residents in the UK still don't believe have ever landed a man on the moon. They're not just lying about the aliens, they're lying about going to the moon, according to the folks over in Britain. The members of our solar system family share a common origin story dating back some 4.56 billion years. And they differ somewhat with regard to one single beginning as recorded in the Abrahamic faith tradition, and have asserted, based upon the rigors of empirical inquiry, that our universe was born from the Big Bang about 13.5 billion years ago. A difference of about 9 billion years. Some have asserted that God's days may be longer than our days, and even today Congress is deciding whether to eliminate or continue daylight savings time. So that's up to you. And in this span of time, science, according to Thomas Kuhn, is about reconciling anomalies to form a unified theory. And in this span of time, about 9 billion years, our solar system was not in the first generation of solar systems to exist in the universe, but rather a third generation of solar systems created after the first stars lived out their lives and eventually exploded. Sending out star stuff, this is a technical term from NASA, star stuff, out into the cosmos. The original stellar material was recycled as another generation of the stars. And many of these, too, exploded at the end of their lives. It's like the circle of life in The Lion King. And the rocket scientists at NASA have discovered that many children, yes, and adults, may suffer some confusion. Like those who may not yet know that Pluto is no longer considered a planet in our solar system, having been downgraded in 2006. And they warn at NASA that many children and adults have vague ideas of the differences between solar system, galaxy, and universe, and therefore have difficulty distinguishing between the Big Bang from the universe's formation and our solar system's formation much later. Just like many in pandemic have a problem distinguishing between asymptomatic signs and symptoms. Effective and efficacious. Sounds like an education problem. However, if you are informed and then continue on, there are doctors for that. So for a quick timeline, no review, for those who may have just forgotten, we have absolutely nothing existing. Then controverting the Newtonian laws of conservation that matter and energy is neither converted nor destroyed, but only transferred. We have a Big Bang, middle of nothing, more than 13 billion years ago, which gives rise to the formation of the universe. So we have Big Bang, universe, which around 4.5 billion years ago is the third generation of solar systems. Our solar system was born. And eventually in this continual cycle, regardless of what is done to save the creatures from extinction or the earth from global climate change, it shall all just go away. Like when the neuron cease firing at the end of your life, the game is over, according to science. Yeah, no second life, no second chance. It's just over, done, finished, get over it. Make like an ice princess. Let it go. No more weeping, no more crying, no more dying, as the religious fanatics sing in their churches. It is what it is. And yes, in the recycling of the universe, every soul is actually replaceable. And doesn't even exist. And according to NASA, our solar system began forming about 4.6 billion years ago, within a concentration of interstellar dust and hydrogen gas called a molecular cloud. The cloud contracted. How would that happen? The cloud contracted because what? You contract because it's pretty cold out there in space, right? So you want to get together, to kind of, get warm, like spooning. The cloud contracted under its own gravity. So we have this also gravitational force that's kind of coming together. We got the gravity, and our proto-sun formed in the hot, dense center. What? It's like going to a campfire, Gather around the campfire, get warm. The remainder of the cloud formed a swirling disk called the solar nebula. Like, hey, fire's a little bit too warm. I'm gonna, chill out over here. I'm good. So let's go through this because it is on the science test. We have, at the end of life, we have interstellar dust, but no water. We have hydrogen gas, which is a part of water. We have gravity causing a great swirl and mashing at the center to form a proto-sun with those not sucked into this vortex-forming swirling disk, a swirling disk that is described as the solar nebula. It eventually become our now reduced from 8 planets and like 209 moons. This is important because in our quest, we are out in the subarctic temperatures of a celestial desert, kind of like it gets cold at night in the desert, in an infinite space, and using our divining rod of science to discover where the water is. And what do we do? What do you know about the sun? That hot thing, big hot thing in the center of our solar nebula 4.5 billion years ago from what science says today. Well, according to NASA, the sun is a 4.5 billion year old yellow dwarf star, a hot glowing ball of hydrogen and helium at the center of our solar system. It's about 93 million miles, 150 million kilometers, for those in the metric system, from Earth, and it's our solar system's only star. Without the sun's energy, life as we know it could not exist on our home planet. Okay, so far we don't know that anybody else has a home planet, but this is what NASA says. So we are lucky to have a sun arrive to provide this essential component in biogenesis, in addition to hitting the jackpot on discovering water, with an abundant supply of at least hydrogen just 93 million miles away, and no pipeline. The largest object in our solar system, with a diameter of about 865,000 miles, 1.4 million kilometers for our Europeans and Canadians. And talk about solar power, its gravity holds the solar system together, like the glue. keeping everything from the biggest planets to the smallest bits of debris in orbit around it, including expelled Pluto. As a dwarf star, it's only an average star in terms of its size, and stars up to 100 times larger have been found. While many solar systems have more than one star, like the Toyne in the Star Wars of science fiction. And the hottest part of the sun is its core, where temperatures top 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, 15 million degrees Celsius. The part of the sun, we call its surface, the photosphere, add that to your vocabulary, is a relatively cool 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Still need your shorts, still need your shades, 5,500 degrees Celsius. In one of the sun's biggest mysteries, the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, that's above the photosphere, gets hotter the farther it stretches from the surface. The corona reaches up to 3.5 million degrees Fahrenheit, 2 million degrees Celsius, much hotter than the photosphere. So, it's hot on the surface, but hotter as you get further out, for at least a little while. Then they start to shut up. And so we have some place where some atoms with the lowest atomic number or the lightest in atomic weight massed at the center because it was cold, including necessary hydrogen for formation of water just 93 million miles away from us. So, and no Uber, you can't call it Uber or Lyft, to form our very average sun in the universe. Haven't been invented yet. You have to wait, Alexander Graham Bell, telephone, when they get the cell phones, and then might be able to call for the hydrogen, 92 million miles away. And we just hit the jackpot to find some mass survival in 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen, including 332,500,000 cubic meters of fresh water, just fresh water, enough to form a huge water ball measuring 860 miles in diameter, and enough salt water to fill the ocean with an average depth of about 3,700 meters or 12,100 feet, and where 96.5% of all of the water in the world is out. That's a lot of water. That's a tall glass of water. And returning to the beginning, according to every account in the Gospels, except the Greek physician Luke, it was recorded that the Christian Savior was seen walking on the waters. And even in the account that Luke corroborates, it was a sight so incredible that his own disciples, 4 of them, who made their living on the waters as fishermen, were not only struck in amazement, but actually were stirred to apprehension. It's like they had just seen a ghost, like our crazy Christians. And you may be one. Voted for Trump. And in the Abrahamic biogenesis account, God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered unto one place," which appears, don't get scared, to be exactly as even the scientists today agree. Yes, Dr. Feynman, right now I believe we could all use a nice whole glass of water. So let's pause here, but the next time, let's cast off to swim with the sharks with deeper waters, beyond the safe harbors of nearby shores, and maybe even rock the faith of those without faith, just on this topic of water, in our scientific immersion program. And be sure to join us in baptism and fellowship through communion, drinking the deep gulps, gushing like rushing waters, and mighty streams through the plank boards on this seagoing vessel that we rip up in reckless disregard for human life. A simulated drowning experience, like the waterboard, exerting evolutionary pressure. In the next video, as we discuss further the formula for being a winner at the big casino, and a story about a 1 in a trillion or more chance bet on a lifetime that was won nonetheless at this big blue marble casino, just relying on luck and serendipity, apparently according to the scientists, with no choices at all, but yet which apparently mankind could not do, even with the best technology during a pandemic, visited by a virus that isn't stupid, and conquered the world without even a sentient thought. But you look like a winner. This briefing is classified. Unclassified, as you were. My name is Major Mike Webb, and by God, I am running for U.S. Congress. This year, resolved to do the right thing, and we shall make America great again. Honest. Carry on. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.
This has been a Bill Williams presentation.
Thunk, I could have had a vaccine. And y'all come back now.